Muy buenas tardes todo el mundo, bienvenido a una sesión más remota de Estante de Grita Radio. El día de hoy tengo un súper invitado, ya tenía muchas ganas de platicar con él desde hace un buen rato y me da muchísimo gusto que por fin se me haya hecho. Estamos hablando, por supuesto, de JOHNNY INDOVINA, de Human Drama, que va a platicar ahora sobre su nuevo álbum. Ustedes ya estuvieron escuchando los sencillos antes, pero ya apareció en forma de álbum, así que tenemos mucho de qué platicar. Welcome, Johnny. Welcome to Mexico City once again. You know, this is your home. How are you?
I'm doing great. Nice to be here. Axel, thank you for having me.
Where in the world are you? Where are you contacting us right now?
I'm in Los Angeles.
How long has Los Angeles been your home?
It's been my home for a little while now. I think I left New York in 2001, and I've been living here ever since.
Oh yeah, that's a couple of decades. That's pretty long time. And I was asking this because we know that your most recent album has a concept, and this concept is about something that happened in New York, right? So that's why I wanted to know whether you were still there or whether these things that happened had something to do with you not being there anymore.
Neither. Really, what I lived through in those years was something that I don't think I ever acknowledged, really, that it was not only inside of me, but maybe guiding me through some other things in my life. And it wasn't until I wrote the lyrics to the song Farewell that I realized I'm saying goodbye to this. I'm trying to say goodbye to something that I didn't even acknowledge was in me anymore. And that was when I started reflecting more on everything that happened during those years from 92 to 96.
And why do you think it took you so long? Because it's more than 25 years. Well, it's around 25 years.
I think sometimes if you ignore something, you feel like it doesn't hurt quite as much. So I think I had to keep it below the surface. What do you call that? A reflex action to protect yourself. I believe everything happens for a reason, and only now was I meant to go back and take a look at something objectively.
And has it helped? Do you feel that it's now more integrated into who you are, that it's no longer lurking there underneath the surface?
Only in a small way. I think there is some strength in dealing with it. And look, by the way, this isn't about something bad that happened to one person, me. This is about two people. This is about what happened then and what that has led to over the course of now a lifetime, a generation. So I'm happy that I was able to use something that was so detrimental to me in my life as something as positive as a beautiful, truthfully explored album like Blurred Images.
And you aren't scared of being so naked and just putting something so deep about you out there?
That's what we as a band and me as a songwriter do. That is what we do. It's not contrived. It's just the only thing that I feel I can write about are things that another person like yourself can relate to in their own way. I and the band like to speak about the commonality of human beings, no matter where you live, how much money you have, where you were born, the color of your skin. All of that goes out the window when you talk about all the things that we have in common. And let's face it, love and fear are something we all live with in our own ways.
But do you think that when they come together, when you have love and fear together, you get something different that you don't get from them apart?
You get a bomb that could blow up the biggest building on the planet, except it only gets to blow up you and your relationship. No, fear is the biggest battle that we have to take on And sometimes fear alone will destroy a love.
Yes, that is completely true. And do you think that this point gets across? Do you think people who listen to the tracks can understand the dangers of this combination of love and fear?
Maybe, because I made it a point to be not so literal, almost, you know, the names and faces
have been changed to
protect. So, but you know, strange, I will tell you something though, and no one has asked me, or I haven't said this in any other interview. I don't even know if the band really knows it, but as soon as I knew I was going to write about those years, I contacted the other person involved and told her I was going to write about it. I promised her I would take the right approach. I let her hear every lyric before I sang it. And I made sure that this was not about one person, it was about two. And it was also about exploring, taking ownership, as whenever there's two people in a relationship, you have to take ownership of what your responsibility was, your flaws, what, you know, again, your responsibility in an eventual demise of something.
But how did she react? Did she ask for
She
any
thinks
changes?
it's the best thing I've ever done. She thinks it's the best thing I've ever done. And February 10th made her cry.
That's completely comprehensible, of course. Do you think this might mean another episode of your relationships? This reapproach? No. But was it the closing or something?
I haven't thought about that. When you love someone, it's easy to be a friend to them. Especially when you love someone the way that I did at that point in my life, you know. Oh, by the way, the song "This Forgotten Love," if you're familiar with our other material, "This Forgotten Love" is actually the first song out this album.
Do you think people can tell, or
no?
But they may. Thank you for telling.
But they, if they examine songs that I wrote back in 1992, they'll be able to spot that "This Forgotten Love" is literally the first song on this album.
On this cycle, yes. But there must be, of course, a big difference between from the the backside of all these years of how you could write about it then and how you write about it now.
Yeah,
very
much so.
But then when you sing that song, or in general, when you sing those older songs, do you have a problem like relating to yourself of the one that wrote the songs?
I think that's always a challenge for every artist who's been around 35 years. You try to put yourself back in the position of how you felt when you wrote it. You try to perform it in the manner that you recorded it and the way that it felt. You know, you do your best. Do your best. But I'll tell you the song "Forever," which was maybe the second song that's a part of Blurred Images. The song "Forever," I always have an easy time remembering that night.
And that sounds like a good thing, actually.
Yes.
I'm very, very glad for you, actually. Yeah. But then what about the difficult times? What about those memories that maybe you don't want to return to? Do you still do it because of your art? Because of the public? I will never run from a song that I wrote. There's nothing too tough for us to go ahead and put in our concert list, our set list. No, this is what we do. And I have too much respect for it to say something's too difficult. Nothing's too difficult. This is what we do. Do you remember when you realized that you could do this, that you could actually put yourself out there through music? Just, I mean, going back like decades ago, like when you realize, yes, this is a way I can communicate.
I think when I wrote the song, I Could Be a Killer, I thought that, okay, maybe you have a place in this music world, but that's about the only thing I remember. Sometimes, you know, like musicians, we stay very young mentally, and sometimes I'll be wondering, what am I going to do when I grow up? Like, you know, am I going to go back to college? Am I, you know, you don't realize that 35 years have gone. This is what you do.
So you still think, oh, maybe when this is over, I'll do something
I don't know
else.
what am I going to do when I grow up? Jeez.
No, I am very glad that you chose this path. This is also been very good for the rest of us, for all the music.
Thank you for saying that.
Oh no, I actually mean it. But this also this makes the question urgent of what is left to say, right? Do you still surprise yourself that you still have something to say after all these years?
Yes. It's a great feeling. I've had it all the way back since Songs of Betrayal, that I don't know what's left. I don't know. I don't really know. I have no idea right now. Fresh. This was a very, very focused, very, what would you say, concentrated, you know, time in our life. So I think at this point, I'm just breathing that relief that we have made another record that we are really proud of. We have left for the world, for you and the world. And I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to be excited about what we've done, talk to wonderful people like yourself about it, and then I'll know the right time to start planning what's next.
So it is not like an everyday habit that you have, like some dresser full of half-made songs that you go back to.
None, zero. That's why human drama doesn't have a lot of outtakes and a lot of beats. We release what's important, we know is right, and that's it, you know.
So but you still must have had sometimes like a song that you do finish it, but then you go like, yeah, this is, I mean, I'm glad that I finished it, but this is not something I want to record, that I want to share with others.
I'll tell you what does happen. I'm sure that there have been a couple of pieces of things I've started and never finished, but I'll tell you that I wrote King of Loneliness in 1991 to be on The World Inside, and it didn't get recorded and come out on an album because I couldn't get it right until 1999 on Solemn Sunsetting. So sometimes if I know it's good, but I don't have it right, I'll go back to it a little here and there until I know it's time to do it.
And in the meanwhile, did you ever play it live just to check it with the audience to see?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Back in 1990, 1991, maybe, I think I remember us playing the song vaguely, barely, one time maybe, but it wasn't right. We couldn't get it right for The World Inside. It would have fit beautifully on that album too.
Yeah, now that yeah. But yeah. Is this rare, or is it often that you would play the songs before finishing it? It's rare.
Rare, yes.
So you record them, like you compose them one by one. So you don't start one until you have finished the last one or more.
No, that's not true. Because during the Broken Songs for Broken People album, I had all 10, 12 songs all working at the same time. Since we did Blurred Images and we started off with a series of singles, we more completed those one at a time.
But when do you mean completed? Do you mean the composition or also the recording? And so that's what
composition, recording, everything one at a time. Yeah.
But isn't that like tiring, especially in these circumstances of isolation, to just be always working? You just finish one song and you're already working on the other.
That was torturous,
Yes.
exciting, challenging, fatiguing. I got depressed. I remember from Halloween, because I was in Mexico City when we got the date from the record label as to when we were going to release it. I don't think I slept more than 4 hours a night from then until January 15th. And it was rough. But I'm not complaining. This is what I do, and that was what I had to do. And I'm finishing blurred images and compiling from hours and hours of music that was recorded for the documentary. It was a monumental task.
But did it help you distract from the fact that we were in a
Yes.
middle of pandemic? Yeah, that actually.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, actually sounds kind of therapeutic.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So it is not like your typical way of doing albums.
It got a little toward the end because we had to finish a lot of things in 2 months, a lot of things.
But then when you put all this of yourself, both emotionally, physically, and probably also economically, and everything in this composition, in these pieces, when do you feel it has paid off? Is it the moment when you hear the recording, when you play it live, when you start getting the feedback? When is it that you say, yeah, this was the right thing to do?
Great question. It's when I hear the full album, start to finish, and I stand up proud. And that's it. I'm proud. I'm proud of what we did. The rest that happens after that is completely out of my hands. I have no control. Release it. And that's the moment when I'm proud.
So you don't read reviews or things like that?
I'm not going to say that I don't read a review. I'm not going to that I wouldn't have a conversation with someone who didn't particularly like the album. There are many albums made in this world that I don't like. It's very subjective to each and every person. No, but I know that that's out of my control. So I'm great with what we did. If I know that you can line up, Feel the World Inside, Pen Up, Songs of Betrayal, Solemn Sunsetting, the live album, Cause and Effect, Broken Songs, and now Blurred Images. And it's just a solid, important catalog.
But what about personally? How do these, like the Johnny Indovina that is writing, that is making all these records, how does success as an artist match within your life, as your success as a human being?
Success as an artist is about all that I really pay attention to. Unfortunately, I've given up everything in my life to do this. So it's going back to that same moment when I hear that album top to bottom. That's it. That's my success. That I pleased me. I did the right work. It certainly means a lot that the band loves it also, and I believe that they do. But I have to look at it, and I'm looking over at my stereo right now where I play it. That's the success to me, that it makes sense. It feels right. It sounds right. I didn't get lazy at any moment. I have never made the same album 2 times, like a lot of bands make. We sound like nobody else and no one else sounds like us. Those things make me feel like a success, and that myself and Human Drama have earned their place in the world of music that will exist forever.
That's actually a lot. That's quite an accomplishment. Does that mean that you still listen to your music? You listen to your old records just for listening, for enjoyment?
Every now and then, but not much. I'll tell you.
They're good.
Maybe,
I recommend it to you.
yeah, I just, I'm gonna listen to Tom Waits or Lucinda Williams before I listen. But I'll tell you what I will do from time to time. I will have a song in my mind, and I'll go put the CD on. And last week I listened to one song off of Broken Songs, and I'm trying to remember what the title of the song was. That tells you how little I listened to it. Trying to remember which one it was, and I'm not remembering, but I went and I played one song off of the album, and I was, that's nice. That's what I remember. That's cool. And then I move on.
So you didn't play the rest. You were like, oh, now just let it go. It was just one that song you want to hear. That's hilarious, actually.
That was the song I wanted to hear.
So you didn't even like sing to yourself?
Yeah.
You catch yourself singing your own songs, doing laundry and things like that?
No, not really. Not really, no.
And is there a reason? So it is not consciously, right? It's not that you avoid your own music. It's just...
I don't even think about it. It's like I made the record, and that is for you. Tom Waits made his albums; those are for me. Just to use one reference there.
So you do like a normal person, sing other people's songs and play their music.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure.
That's yep. But you haven't made.
And you know what I do? Go on. I'm sorry.
No. Please tell me. And then
I was gonna say, I sometimes listen to music for the way that an album sounds. Like in the last 2 weeks, I've played Bob Dylan's "Slow Train Coming" album probably about 10 times. It's one of the most amazing sounding albums that I have. And I think that during the mix down process of Blurred Images, I was listening to that vintage sound, and I wanted to make sure that our album sounded a little bit like an album that could have been made in the 70s.
Yeah, actually, I was going to comment on that it is a very storytelling album, right? It has the kind of arrangements that gives, you can tell that you're trying to continue that tradition of storytelling. You mentioned Lucinda Williams and Dylan, of course, and even the instrumentation. It's not as vibey as previous human drama works, but it's more focused on the story and of the story coming across, and just leaving the rest of the music just be there because the story has to be told. And yeah, that was also something that surprised me. And now I can see that it was part of the concept. It was part of the purpose.
Absolutely, yeah. Mark Balderas, our keyboardist, who couldn't join us tonight, sorry. We put him through a lot. We put him through so much because we wanted to not get stuck on just piano, Hammond organ, and a mellotron sound. We didn't want to go back to. We wanted it to be more versatile. So we explored with a lot of synthesizers from the 70s. So Mark did so much exploration, and it was a process of elimination to find that right thing that is right for this moment in the song. So he really should be applauded for the job that he did, and the amount of work and energy he put in, and help and finding the right parts, the right instruments to do the parts.
And how involved are you in those sports? How much of a dictator are you in human drama?
Oh, I'm not a dictator in any way, but I am involved in every way. So I communicate with the players. We talk about it. I very rarely say, this is not good. I will say, this is not right, and have a great explanation as to why it isn't right, and help find what could be correct. So I'm not just no, that's no good. It's, I listen, and then I'm able to give an explanation. And I've always found that if you can explain your thinking, then it leads to better things being discovered. You can't just go yes or no, you know? And also, I'll tell you that on one of the songs, which very rarely happened, I was singing a song so much that I thought I was making it better, but Mark called me and told me I was making it worse. Go back and sing it like you did the first time. And that was very helpful, because when you're working day after day on the same thing, you can kind of lose touch with what you're doing. So I don't remember what song it was, but he said, go back. It's not as special. And he was absolutely right.
But was it
Absolutely
difficult for
right.
you to learn to communicate that way, to create?
No. It's the way my mother and father communicated with me. When I was 13 years old, I'm born Catholic and went to church every Sunday. When I was 13 years old, I told my mother that I don't want to go to church anymore. Now, she could have just been the mother and said, I don't care what you say, you're going to church. But I said, I don't want to go to church because, and I gave at 13 years old something to my mother that made sense. She knew I wasn't going to not be as good of a person, because she knew I had thought about what I was saying. So I learned how to communicate with a family that communicated very well.
And then, because that story sounds very familiar, I also come from a Catholic background, and my family was also like that. And I know that it is actually not that common. But what I'm surprised is that how that drove you into music instead of, I don't know, like academia or science or something that uses more argumentation and communication skills.
I should have been a psychologist. I really should have gone to school to be that. I feel like I didn't. So we blamed David Bowie and the song Space Oddity, because as soon as I heard that, I was on my way to wanting to know how this happens. And I never stopped.
Yes, I mean, who can know how something like that song happens, right?
So I've been exploring how to give other people my version of Space Oddity so they can hear it and go, wow, how did that happen?
How old were you when you heard Space Oddity for the first
1970, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. So I would have been 13.
The right time, actually.
I think 13 or 14, something like that, yeah.
And what was the first instrument you picked?
Tried to play an acoustic guitar. So that's what I tried to play. Yeah.
But why do you say try? You didn't?
Well, because I didn't ever focus on playing the guitar really, really well. It wasn't until I started finding out how to use it to write songs, and then I learned what I need to know. And still to this day, I only learn what I need to know.
So you consider yourself foremost a composer, and then the band and the singing and the records is just for the songs to be able to be other. Oh, that's fascinating. Have you ever considered composing for other people?
You mean writing songs with other people?
Yes.
Oh, I'm wide open to doing that.
But no, I mean, for other people to sing things that you compose completely. Oh,
yeah, but I don't push it. If someone asked me for something, I would certainly sit with them, and I would love doing it.
And why do you think it hasn't happened that often?
I do not know.
Okay, yeah, I'm surprised, because
I have no idea.
What do you remember? When was the last time you did compose with somebody? You did actually sit to write a song with someone?
Even though she didn't ask me to, I wanted to give a new song for me and Ellie Guerra to do on my solo album. So I wrote The Truth Inside a Lie, thinking about Ellie and her voice, and a woman was involved. So that's about the closest I've come. I did produce an album for a girl named Morag McPherson, and I helped her write and come up with melodies to a degree, but mostly helped her write the songs, and I produced it for her.
What is it?
But mostly I just helped her with her song, kind of, you know, arrangement and stuff.
Yeah, I am surprised, especially if you do make that difference between your compositions and your performing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you brought Eli Guerra up, because it's part of this big relationship you have with Mexico. I mean, I know you've told this story several times, but I still want you to go a little bit again for our audience about how did you become so attached to the Mexican people?
I think it was the other way around. When we showed up at first time in 1994, we really had no idea that the fans knew who we were. We were expecting that we would have to play to nobody, and then one day maybe enough people come. But I look at it like your country grabbed us the first time we came and said, we want you to be part of us. And we said, we would love to be. I think it's as simple as that.
And I'm glad that you have kept cultivating it. You just didn't take it for granted, because actually that makes a big difference. Because yeah, a band can just go like, oh, I'm so cool. That's what people like us. But no, you have kept cultivating that, and I'm very glad. I'm very glad that you added the bonus CD for the soundtrack. How did you come up with that decision? Do you think it does work together?
Well, I don't know that the two discs need to work together.
Okay.
I think that we got such a great reaction from the documentary as to how the Mexican public felt about it. And the record label, Sunset Blvd Records, said, Johnny, you know, we really love the documentary. We think it's really special. Do you have any music that, you know, we can release? They were going to do it as a separate album. And I said, well, I know that there's about 7 days of music available, somewhere it exists. So I told them, let me see what we can do and what it sounds like and how we can put it together. And what you hear on the disc is the best we could put together from all those recordings. That kind of feels like it felt in the movie.
And in this case, who is we? Who were the people?
Myself and Sunset Blvd Records.
Okay.
Yes.
So what were the kind of things they were looking for?
First of all, they're going to want to know, how does it sound? They want to put out something that sounds, you know, it needs to sound good. They needed to hear whether it was, I think they were wondering why there wasn't more full performances in the movie. So they wanted to hear some as a full performance. And so that was it. It was a discussion. And once they heard, I thought, I have wondered, he's forgotten how to dream. And I think there was one more that I thought was pretty good. So I got those three together first, got them finished, you know, did a little mixing to them. And I sent that to the label and they said, yes, can we have a whole album of this? And that's the way it happened.
Awesome, congratulations. So then that means that it was just kind of an accident that two things happened at the same time, and that's how they ended up being part of the same release.
Yes, and we had really hoped to release the album on the same day as the theatrical premiere at Cineteca Nacional, which was supposed to happen on April 30th, the day of the release. But because of the pandemic, we could not be there with the album and you know, and show it and talk to the fans, etc. You know.
And talking about the fans, given that this album is mostly singles that have already been released, what was the expectation of having now them together as an album? I know that, first of all, because of the conceptual nature, it was good that they belonged to, that they be fit together. But was there something else that you thought was going to happen if people hear them together, hear them with the previously unreleased tracks, that there was going to be something extra that we're going to understand?
Wow, I don't think so. I think that as the record label said, we want to kind of pay tribute to how much of an impact this documentary is having. Let's do something nice for the fans. Put it together and not have them have to buy 2 albums. Here it is. The documentary is still fresh. I think that's the only thinking that went into it. Kind of, here it is. Now, you know, you'll hear blurred images, and here's a great memory for those who saw the documentary and for the ones that joined us at Cafe Bizarro during that week.
But
that's all I think it was, actually.
And what about the blurred images? Because those also were already released as single, a lot of the tracks. So in that case, what was the point of having the album besides already having the singles out?
Yeah, I think that doing 2 more songs, which we did, a song called "I'm Looking" and then February 10th, and then remixing all of the singles was it made a fantastic, you know, thought to have it be a full album. And yeah, that's about as far as the thinking went. It didn't take too much extra thought, you know.
And in the remixing, what were the changes that you thought were required? Was it more so that they sound similar together?
Fresh. A fellow named Mark Lonsway mixed broken songs for broken people. We had a local guy and myself mixing the early singles, and we had intended all along to get Mark Lonsway to come back in and remix all of them. And he wound up mixing, I think he mixed, yeah, he's got the only mix of "I'm Looking" in February 10th. That's all his.
Yeah, that's a great epilogue for the album. I really like it. I heard it backwards, and it's also a very interesting way of hearing the album.
Really excellent. I'm gonna have to do that next time.
Yeah, it was originally an accident, but then I realized, no, this is also interesting because especially because since you present it as a concept album, right? So when we are not that used to concept albums anymore as we used to, right? So that's always present a challenge, because does that mean that there's only one way of hearing the album, that there is like a first song? Well, of course you have this, it's very clear when you have this opening, this introduction, that you have actually the first single also being the second track, and all this, that sometimes you feel like, well, there is like a canonic way of listening to a conceptual album, but you also want to be like a little bit in control as a hero, right?
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. I've never thought about doing that. Now I'm going to do that.
Okay, yeah, I would like to know what
I'm going to do that.
What do you think about your album?
I'm going to see how it feels.
Yes, especially if you say that you're not going to listen to it much later, then yeah, now is the time to go and see it. Maybe they're no longer blurred. Maybe they become sharp images now.
Maybe. Let's be careful.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Johnny, for your time. Thank you so much for your music. Is there something that you still think has been left in the that you want the audience of Grita Radio to know about this release?
Well, first off, let me say, Axel, thank you and your audience for having me. We appreciate it. Thank you to everyone in Mexico for making us have a second home. It's very important to us. Thank you all for extending the life of human drama by caring as much as you do. And on a last note, I just want to make sure that you guys know we are very well aware of the tragedy you had in your city a few days ago. And on behalf of myself and the entire band, we express our sympathy to all the unfortunate people who have had to be a part of that and had that affect them. Just terrible. So our hearts are with you.
I am very, very thankful for your words of concern. Actually, I think you're right. That is very important. And if you allow me, I would like also to take this opportunity, because we also have a lot of followers in Colombia, and also to express our sympathy and our support for the fight currently taking place on the streets of Colombia. We stand with the Colombian people. And yes, I think it's important. If anybody who's hearing this interview and doesn't know what the situation is in Mexico City or in Colombia, please get yourself some information. Really,
that's right. That's right.
It is very, very, very much worth it. So please do that. Thank you so much.
I agree with you, Axel. Thank you for saying that, brother, and thank you for having me. And I'll see you as soon as the world opens up. I'll be back down there.
You're very, very, very welcome. Yo también me despido de la gente que nos está escuchando. Esto es Estante Grita Radio. Mi nombre es Axel Barceló. Nos vemos.